back to another NCUT movie review today. We have Sex Education Season 4, the finale, who obviously the cast is Asa Butterfield, and he is Otis, the main character, Emma McKay playing Maeve, and their backers Shooty Gatwa, he's playing Eric, Connor Swindell playing Adam, Gillian Anderson back as Jean, and Mimi Kiki back as Ruby, and Amy back as Amy. So the whole cast is back together for the final time in Sex Education, and the character development of everyone was quite piss poor, I thought, throughout this entire season. It was very regressive, and I don't really think that they kind of amounted to what they needed to. There needed to be another season. I know they had to wrap it up quite quickly.
Except for Groffy. Groffy's character development was on point.
Groffy
Dad and son.
Well, he was the only one to get screen time.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Maeve was what?
Don't even get me started
10
on
minutes
Maeve.
in the last ep?
No, she was like, not even. She was like probably 3 minutes, I reckon. And dialogue, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
2 of those minutes she was actually speaking in dialogue.
And for the other 5...
she was staring out the window.
Yeah, like Harry Potter.
With Otis.
Yeah, like Harry Potter.
Yeah, with Otis's shirt on. And then, spoiler coming up here, doesn't even end up with the guy, which is just, I'm done with that.
Why build for 4 seasons for these two to get together and they have one night?
Stupid.
And this guy can't chop. He can't chop her for what? The half of the season? All the season until the end?
And that's a key point in the character regression that happened, especially for Otis, who in this season, they massacred my boy. They just threw out all the inroads he'd made. For the first season and a half, I think maybe, or even 2 seasons, possibly even to the third, when he started having sex with Ruby, he could not have sex because he had some sort of trauma, which we find out what that was in this season. But he finally beat that trauma, and then all of a sudden in this season, for no reason at all, and it is not explained at all until right at the very end in the last episode, which I reckon they did that because they realised they forgot to explain it. We find out why he can't have sex anymore. Like, what was the point in the whole first 3 seasons? Why did he go through this whole big character arc of overcoming that trauma and that I guess that anxiety, and then he just goes straight back to having it again?
Yeah.
This was literally like a remake of some sort of a remake of season 1. I reckon.
Yeah, pretty much what it was. They like almost got back to basics because they didn't know how to finish it. And you have like that character development between Eric and Otis, and then all the shut out the window in the first ep. That's it.
They just shit that friendship. Like first episode, they come in, they're loving each other, they're best mates, they're loving, and then like I don't reckon I see them in the same scene talking to each other again until
he says sorry.
The only real conversation scene that they have is when they're talking about going to a party and Eric's pretty much standing him up because his new LGBT friends. Like, where did that come from? I know their whole dilemma in this season was Otis doesn't really understand Eric because he's not gay as well, or not in the community.
They have some actual key points where they do hit on of like race is different, their sexual orientation is different.
But they've never ever thought about that because they've been how long
their
they've been
income.
friends for?
Their income was one of them.
Yeah, that's one. And that's
James got the bag, and his parents don't.
And that's what I don't understand. Like, how long have they been friends for? Of course, that's never come up. Now,
who cares though? Why is that such a big issue?
That's what I'm saying. But it is in this day and age. Like, it is an issue, I guess. So that's why they wanted to bring that up. But still, I hate how they shit on that friendship. That was such a tight friend. Like, they were buds. And like, I'm almost positive in season 2 they went through a similar sort of thing where their friendship was on the rocks and then they recovered at the end to become like friends again. So like, why are we going back to that?
Yeah.
Why are we going back to that?
It's already been
Why
done.
are we going back to? And spoilers again, people, for this one. Spoilers again. Maeve and Otis not having any chemistry whatsoever, not having any connection whatsoever, when the first 3 seasons were literally building that up. She broke up with Isaac because she wanted to be with Otis. The final episode of season 3, they finally come together, even though she's moving away to America. And then episode 1, season 4, we see they have no chemistry. Not 1 ounce of chemistry between them. It's like the first time they've ever met each other. It makes no sense to me.
No, none of this did. I think that a lot of the characters were just thrown out the window because of how quickly they had to wrap it up. And the fact, I do understand that they did have people leave in season 3 to season 4. You have the great Iceman, the Nordic god, Jakob. He is gone. And he's because the kid wasn't his, and Gene probably knew that, and I think he knew that to an extent as well, which is why he left. You don't have Ola as well in there; she's gone completely, and she was a huge character. You have that Spanish guy, which I can't remember his name in this 3rd season, who was Gruffy's boyfriend for a bit.
Adam's boyfriend.
Yeah, and it's just like none of the none of the characters had any type of room to grow up, apart from Ruby, because she kind of had her arc where she was the mean girl and the most popular one, and she had the childhood trauma to build her like that. And then you go back to her doing the same thing at the very end because it's a full circle for her. That was the only one that was closed and the only one that was like probably good in the character arc. Everyone else wasn't. Even the new people in there, the people who were trans for some reason, why they had about 45 different thousand kids at this new school who. Why would you have new people? You would never see
a school like that in real life.
No, but what you wouldn't have all these random characters come into a new season and just be the main for no reason either. When you have they're trying to push
established,
but they're trying to push these new random characters and be as big as what Maeve and Otis are. You have 3 seasons to build these characters up.
Agreed. So and you're trying to build like an relationship with the audience and these characters, but it's like you said, Maeve and Otis. How long did we
wait for that?
Exactly.
Yeah,
and the payoff for waiting for that for so many seasons, 2-3 seasons. It's almost the same as in The Office with Jim and Pam. That was like, I think 4 seasons almost.
Yeah. And
the payoff was so good. And then all of a sudden in this season, we've got these new characters who just we don't care about them. We do not care. I'll be honest. This is how much we don't care. Well, for me personally, I don't care about these characters, but also how much of these characters did not get divulged into at all. I could not name one of them. I don't know anyone else apart from O. She's the only. I know O because they kept repeating her name over and over. Yeah. I know Abby. I think is the main girl of the cool clique at the new college. The other one as well is Cal had a really good character arc like that. They came in as a relatively new character last. I think at maybe the end of season 2, then really became prominent in season 3, and they had a really good character arc. And then for some reason, in season 4, they just dwindled back to nothing again. And then, for some reason, the whole last episode is centered around finding them. Like, why? Why is it centered around them? It should be centered around Maeve, Otis, Amy, Eric,
Ruby.
Groffy, and maybe Ruby. Why is it about Cal? What about Jackson? Jackson goes through this whole big thing, and then the test results are negative, and then it's just like, okay, cool, see you, man, done.
But then his story was going towards more his father,
exactly,
trying to find who he really is, where he really came from, and even that just cut to a short end.
It's not even cut to a short end, but it's just it's so like deflating. Like nothing even happens from it. Like
he goes to his dad. His dad goes, "Get the fuck out of here."
Yeah,
and then okay,
and like they've got this weird imagery of him seeing like nutsacks all the time. Yes, he had a diagnosis in his balls, but like, what even was all that?
I can attest to this. I didn't feel the same way when that happened.
What even is all that? And like, it just makes no sense. Why was Cal the center of attention in the last episode? Why did Eric become...
That's not the right way to finish a season, especially to have a background character come in to be the new main one, and then we're supposed to feel a way about it.
Maeve isn't... Now, I don't quite know... I haven't looked into it enough what was going on outside of... obviously Emma McKee's gotten enormous in the last, 4 years since the show began. Maybe she didn't have time. Maybe she couldn't film. I don't know. Maybe they couldn't afford her. Who knows? But she was barely in this friggin' season.
Yeah, she really wasn't in much.
And when she was, she sucked.
Yeah.
She genuinely was shit. Like, there's a few flashes where she goes back to her old self, which we know Maeve for, and that's like where she tells her her teacher.
Yeah, the one that came back. Yeah.
No. The writing teacher that told her she didn't have a career and she wasn't going to make it. Guy. She pretty much just tells him, get stuffed.
Yeah.
I know who I am. I know what I'm worth. I'm going to make it.
Mm.
That's the Maeve we know. The Maeve when she tells her brother to pull his shit together because he's making a fool of himself. That's the Maeve we know. But for the rest of the season, yes, she goes go through a traumatic experience with her parent dying, but she starts drinking? Like, what?
But she was always kind of a rule breaker with that stuff, right? So the only thing I thought with Maeve's character was that they didn't utilize her enough in Otis' storyline. No, but the whole point of what we were waiting for season 4 was them to finally get together, them finally to have the whole payoff that you've been waiting for the past 4 seasons, and it never happened. You kind of get a little bit of it, and then you see it just cut completely off because Otis is apparently somehow regressing back to an incel type of kid where he hates sex,
and he hates everyone. And they did the exact same thing in all the other seasons where they would get real close and then just regress. Then they get real close and then something happens. Like the last episode of season 3. Finally, together, yes, I have to go to America. And then it's like, well, shit, there goes that. Then earlier in the season, like, they finally get a bit, and then Otis does something stupid, then they break up, or Maeve gets cold feet, and then they break up, then she goes to some other guy.
But sleeping with Ruby and not actually doing anything just sleeping in the same bed is not enough for her to get super mad where that would just...
No, but she forgave him, though. She forgave him.
She forgave him, but I'm saying that was the main point of why she didn't like him, was the fact that she slept in the same bed, and then she's like, oh, well, maybe I was overreacting because...
Yeah. But this is what I'm saying. So that happens, right? She sleeps in bed... Sorry, he sleeps in bed with Ruby. She gets a little bit angry. She gets a little bit angry. She gets a little bit She gets a little bit angry about that. Fair. She's also grieving her mum's death.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Fair. Then she realizes that she was, acting that way because she was grieving. So that's Then she becomes
and her brother back on drugs or selling them.
Then she becomes to forgive Otis, and then it's like, okay, cool. This is them maturing in their relationship. This is them showing that they've got to, make impasses to go forward as a couple. And then it's like, last episode, I have to go back to America. Why did any of this even happen then? Why did she forgive him for Ruby? Why did she say, I love you so much, and then say I have to go away anyway? Like, I know this is where it could get controversial.
Well, the mum was technically supposed to speak.
Is this pushing the ideology that women aren't meant to be just, wives, trophy wives?
Well, not anymore. They're not like that.
Career driven.
Yeah, most of them are getting the opportunity to be career driven. Yeah.
And this is where, like, Jean's character was a bit weird, where, like, she obviously regretted not pushing further in her life because she got pregnant with Otis, because she's saying she wanted more than a clinic and all that. Mm-hmm. And then so she's just like, I'm just going to push this on Maeve and ruin my son's life.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why?
But that seems like a normal conversation, I think, for a mum to have with... I mean, she wanted to get closer to Maeve too. She got hated on this entire season. Talk about someone getting shit kicked the entire season. Not just Otis, but the mum did as well. Also, Jean did.
Yeah.
So I think she was trying to find some solace into that as well, trying to give her advice, because she's a therapist, right? So she needs to give advice, and she, like, as in Otis was saying, you can't therapize whatever he said, everyone. And it wasn't basically her and her own volition. It was the mum pushing her idealisms onto Maeve.
But why are they pushing this? Like, so they clearly made it a talking piece in the season, because, like you said, Jean gets shit on the whole season. And so some of that's Otis's fault, because the guy, for some reason in this season, he has shown flashes of it during the first 3 seasons, but then that was part of his growth, that he couldn't really regulate his emotions and he couldn't really talk about his emotions.
Yeah.
But he got better at that. And then for some reason in this season, he just becomes the worst guy ever.
He became season 1 Otis again.
But he's like he's the biggest asshole ever in this season. Yeah. Doesn't care about Eric.
Yeah.
Rude to his mum all the time. Rude to, like, Maeve. Rude to Ruby. What happened to him? Why did they just shit on him?
Yeah, when did he become a sociopath?
Yeah, he literally became, like, he has no social skills whatsoever.
No.
Like, as soon as him and Maeve got into a fight, I'm just going to ignore him.
Yeah.
As soon as him and Eric got into a fight, I'm going to ignore him.
Oh, another thing. On a phone call, hangs up straight away. There's no goodbye,
That's what I'm saying.
Bang, bang, see, bitch.
He just regressed so badly. This guy that we've come to love in the first... Now, not everyone's going to love him, because he does have his flaws, but, like, that was his character growth, and then bang, he's just a shit cunt.
Yeah.
He's just a shit bloke.
He is.
Now, Jean, this is what I don't understand. The whole thing with Jean, she clearly made it known that she regretted not having Otis, but the fact that she had to give up her career, and that the husband left, so she had to raise Otis on her own, and that she went through, like, a breakdown and stuff like that, and that she always wanted more than the clinic. So why did Maeve become Jean Jr.? And that Maeve's end, like, literally Maeve's whole story finishes with her doing what Jean wishes she did. So essentially, Maeve is Jean, young Jean.
So yeah, what I took from that was that the implication between what that is happening is that Maeve is not going to be Jean,
because
she doesn't have a mother anymore. So I think she was trying to find and console in a motherly figure. And Jean was like, don't make the mistakes I did. If you're going to, like, date my son type of bullshit, it's the same thing.
That's what I mean. But why? So what? I mean, that's the first time they'd ever met.
Yeah.
If they knew each other previous seasons, and Jean had seen how toxic maybe that Otis and Maeve had been, fair enough. She's turning around and going, listen, you could be wasting your life away. Like, this is not what you want to do. But why, in 2 episodes, did we go from Maeve being like, I want to stay, I want to be with Otis, to then Jean Jr.?
I don't think they allowed the story to play out.
And
it had a very quick ending, and it was just like Jean had this build up of being controlling and toxic herself. Yeah. But then we never touched on that either.
Well,
right.
Well, yeah, because then she ends up becoming. The whole thing with her sister was like, you're controlling and this and that, and then she's like, I'm not like that, and then
denial.
She gives the money and says, oh, I was like that.
Yeah.
And then the next scene we see her walking into her office because she wants her job back, saying, I want this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. So she's back controlling again.
Yeah.
Like, what do they even... Like, I know that was supposed to be her like, I'm confident again. I'm back to my old self. But that's what we didn't want.
But also, why is she putting so much pressure on herself when she's had a kid in 6 weeks and she wants to get back to work?
And she had a near-death experience.
Near-death experience.
Yeah.
She died for a bit. And just bring Jakob back. That's who you need. That's who you need. You need someone else there. That's why probably his sister came in. And she needed a break.
This season definitely missed Jakob, especially because in season 3, his calming presence was really good. And
I know helped her a lot.
And they could have even like dived more into the whole like he wasn't the father of the baby. Maybe he was. Maybe he wasn't. I get that she lied, but they could have shown that, you know, even if you aren't the father of a child, you can still raise that child from, you know, how many step parents have done that to
Look
their
at Jackson's parents.
Exactly.
That's a classic.
That was
classic.
Yeah. The whole thing with Jakob and Jean was the polar opposite to what they were trying to go with Jackson's parents.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
I don't get
It's
it.
almost like that you can't follow the same theme with each family. It's like most families are the same. It's fine to follow the same fucking theme.
I don't get it.
I really did like Jackson's storyline. I thought that he had so much potential in this season.
Yeah.
And they cut it off a little too
Yeah.
early. Same with his best friend Viv.
Oh.
Viv and that control freak of a boyfriend, Bo,
Bo.
who she got into it with, had one great storyline because
Yeah.
it would have shone light on some actual topics and issues
Domestic
in the world.
violence, which is very prominent.
Proper issues.
Yeah.
And they never touched on it at all. I'm saying that that is a fucking prominent issue. It's a prominent issue. It's a prominent issue.
Prominent issue, yeah.
It is a prominent issue, and it's one of the main prominent issues in relationships as well. Is having this fucking domestic violence, and I think that I picked it quite early, saying that this guy's a psychopath.
Yeah, and so did Jackson, and that was
Jackson
another,
picked it quite
and that was another key point of him. How good was Jackson in this season? Like he's going through something
some turmoil
on his own, with also his health, his family, and also with Viv. And he picks straight away that Bo's a psychopath.
Yeah.
And then they just never, it never touches on it ever again. I wanted to see him punch him in the head or something. Or just,
the way they ended that too was he just randomly pops up like Mr. Nimbus from the corner, right? Like Jason Voorhees, and says, "We need to speak." And then she goes, "No, we don't. I'm going to be my own woman. Fuck you."
Which is
and
good.
then he just walks away, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
There's nothing else.
That never happens in real life. Okay.
For a psychopath like that,
times-
who's a complete narcissist like him, those guys hang around.
How many times do you see in the news true crime stories and all this and that the wife or whoever the significant other is, it could be the male as well.
The one who's the perpetrator.
Whoever is the victim says to the perpetrator, "I'm leaving," or "No more of this," or "I'm taking the kids with me," or whatever, and then they're dead in a suitcase, a week later, bashed to death. Yeah. So this is what we're saying with Viv, this whole domestic violence storyline. That is not this. That's how we wish it went.
Yeah.
That the person who's being abused could turn around and say, "Enough's enough, no more, I'm leaving," and then that would be the end of it. That's not how it goes. And this show is trying to perpetuate what life is like at the moment for all different sorts of people going through different things. That's not a true depiction. That is such a prominent thing that could have been touched on, and it ends in a good way. Yes,
short though.
When you're getting bullied or whatever, or someone's picking on you in school or whatever, the best thing to do, is to stand up for yourself, saying, "Enough is enough," and this and that, like, leave me alone or whatever.
Yeah.
But when it's domestic violence, the amount of times that the perpetrator, is told, "Leave me alone, enough's enough," and then
doesn't happen.
The next thing you know, the victim's dead, or the victim's been beaten to within an inch of their life, or the victim's, that's why the way that ended just didn't seem genuine at all, because that is not how domestic violence in real life ends.
Once again, forced, rushed, all
just
the
rushed.
same thing.
Right. Like, that's an issue that should be really heavily touched on.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. And they were going really good areas with it, good areas, and then it was just like, "Oh, we need to finish this. Let's get rid of it."
Because you had the random scenes where he'd pop up out of nowhere, and then their
which
dialogue
insinuates
would go
that he's stalking.
Correct, which is then making him more crazy and more intense, if you want to go by Jackson's words. And then you start to see him then sort of self-destruct when the people like her friends and stuff ask Viv, "Oh, so do you know the capital of this?" She gives him the answer. The guy's, why is he in the corner watching her every move? He's got CCT of it.
He's stalking.
You know what I mean? Like this guy, and then he does the compliment sandwich. "Oh, why are you speaking to him? I love you though. It's because you make me crazy."
Yeah.
Just the classic manipulation tactics.
Gaslighting of him.
Yeah, absolute gaslighting of this guy.
This would have been, like we said, a really good topic to
explore a bit deeper.
And also to show, if you say, like, for instance, Jackson, how a friend, if you believe someone you know, or someone you care about, or someone in your family or whatnot is going through this, and you're like,
you see the signs.
Exactly, and they don't want to believe in it, or they're too afraid to believe in it themselves, or maybe they're blinded by the love of the person that's doing it to them. That would have been a really good, interesting area to sort of segue into, but they just... you know, she has one moment where he sort of grabs her arm that won't let go and sort of hurts her. And then next thing we see, Jackson is comforting her because he realizes what's going on. And then it's just like her telling him, enough's enough, see you later. But that's not going to work in real life. Often people like this are unhinged.
Yeah.
So
Super.
it would have been nice to see them, and yes, they only had 8 episodes or whatever, but it would have been nice for them to go, if we're going to do this route, we're going to go down this route, especially with 17-year-olds.
Yeah.
Let's do it properly. Not this, I'm just going to stand up to the person and see you later.
Yeah, sociopaths don't work like
No,
that.
they
Narcissists
don't.
work like that.
I've seen enough true crime documentaries, and I've seen enough bloody 24, whatever those TV shows are, to know that
SUVs.
they say that, and then next thing you know, but she says, I'm going to get an order on you. Like, come on.
Yeah, come
It's
on.
just basic
Restraining
stuff.
orders don't do that much, man.
And
But
I would
anyway,
have loved to have seen Jackson just rock that guy's freaking head, man.
That's what I wanted. I wanted Jackson to
Dude
give
was
him the
doing
left,
my
right
head in.
uppercut.
Every time he popped up, I was like, Jackson, punch this guy square in the head, give him an uns.
I wanted to see a bit of backhand, roll, jab, uppercut,
Bouncing,
backhand, this is you. I want to see that. But anyway, it's neither here nor there, because they were never going to finish that story, because the whole season felt like that rushed.
Yes.
Sort of overcomplicated things when they didn't.
Brand new characters who, like, we couldn't even name 2 of them.
Yeah.
Who just had random convoluted storylines that we don't care about because we're in this for Otis, Maeve, Ruby, Amy,
Groffy, and the father,
Groffy's dad,
and
Gene, Eric.
Yep. That's all we cared about. And then we actually couldn't even really attach to Cal either, because she's not really one of a core character either. Like she came in season 2, late 2, maybe early 3. Yeah. I don't think that's kind of long enough to sort of attach yourself to that character and sort of understand where they're going into the storyline. And
then the final episode, which, okay, the whole season it had enough moments in it where you're squirming, like usual. It's a bit awkward because that's what sex education is. It's awkward. It's squirmy. It's a bit like often. I've been through that myself as well. Cringe. Like you see yourself in that. There's enough scenes in it that make you want to like the heart tuggers. Gene breaking down, Maeve breaking down.
Yeah, that emotional connection you have
Jackson,
towards that issue. Yeah,
Jackson going through something personal that could be related to his health. Also something that
I know exactly about that.
Also something that a lot of people could relate to with having adoptive parents and not showing who maybe one parent's not in your life and you don't know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, being lied to by your parents your whole life. A lot of kids go through that.
And then the final episode, we're thinking to ourselves, the lead up is Maeve and Otis finally do the dirt, do the deed. They're finally,
my boy.
Yeah. And then, Isaac and Amy also, start their couple thing.
Yep.
And then the whole last episode is just spent trying to find Cal. Why?
Yeah.
Why do we care?
The weirdest thing to me was, why was Eric and Jackson the ones to find her?
Yeah.
They didn't have ties to her? Apart from Jackson
I don't think I saw Eric and Cal
speak
once in the whole...
Jackson maybe, because they had like a relationship thing going. But why Eric?
And I get it, because Eric's whole... Which is also
some
just
religious
another weird storyline that he's like God, or like he's Jesus, sorry, and God is...
Well, God's trying to speak to him because he's a chosen one to spread the word. Something like that.
For the church to be more inclusive to LGBT and just be more open, which is, a fair enough cause. But it's a weird dynamic that is so left field for this show. Like, it just completely...
It was a weird dynamic.
This show has been completely based in reality this whole time. It's been about real life. It's been about what teenagers go through. And then all of a sudden, there's this like...
There's been no church either, by the way, throughout this. No religion. What was the religious stuff in
Eric?
Oh, yeah, sorry. His stuff was touched on. His Christian belief, because his mum was super religious and they wanted him to get baptized, this thing. But it contradicts what he believes in. That's what I guess his thing was.
It sort of went out of the realm of, like he's having visions and stuff like that. It's
epiphanies. Where's the big boob lady from Homer Simpson, from Simpsons? Epiphany.
Yeah.
He's having an epiphany.
Literally. It's a bit like, it's just so left field for this show. This show was about the awkward life of growing up as a 17-year-old in life and getting through that, and also about deep connections and deep relationships and being vulnerable and emotional. Then Eric is... So, like, he's meant to be... I feel like he's meant to be like Jesus in that last scene, protecting Cal, sort of saving his life, shepherding him sort of in a way. Why? Like, it just... I don't know why.
Neither.
I don't know what they were going for.
Neither.
I don't know at all. Especially when it hasn't been a prominent...
Some savior complex, but why?
Like, the church has been... Yeah, Eric went to church and that, but that's the only thing we've ever seen on the church. Ever. And then all of a sudden this Abby girl's like, oh yeah, I used to be in the church too. And it's like, Why? It just doesn't make any sense.
No, it was a waste of time to put any of that in.
Such a waste of time.
Put any of that in there. You have only a small, minute time. 8 episodes. They're about 45, 55 minutes long.
Like
you have more shit to touch on.
That
than
whole final
storyline.
scene, it could have just been Cal and Jackson.
Yes.
No Eric, and just have
because
Cal.
That would have been good because they would have had resolve from the issues that they actually started at the fucking
and then they
first
might have
ep.
actually. Jackson might have actually come around and been like, okay, I see what you identify now as,
Yes.
and I'm ready to move forward with this, because clearly he still has feelings
Yeah, of course.
for them.
Of course.
Yet, for some reason, he's sitting there like a third wheel,
Yeah.
and it's Eric,
Yeah.
who doesn't even know this guy.
Yeah.
Like, there, it just... I don't even understand. I could not understand that bit. And it almost even felt weird for Eric to be standing there doing that. It didn't even seem like his character at all. It seemed like Ncuti Gatwa was like... It was Ncuti Gatwa. It wasn't even Eric. It was Ncuti Gatwa.
Yeah, his voice got deeper. Man wasn't normal like flamboyant Eric. He was just completely someone different.
Yeah, like he just went to his normal, like he just went to the opposite of himself, not normal.
Yeah.
Like it just, I don't. That whole bit there, like I said, if Eric's not there, you just put it as Jackson.
Yep.
Then that's those two storylines resolved.
Yep.
They probably end up, maybe, who knows, they maybe even end up going out or whatever.
Or you have that random ass background character that was in every fucking shot to come in and be some type of savior.
Big Ranger afro
and that person could have been the fucking Jesus, because Jesus is always watching you. Something like that. That would have been interesting if they went to a different topic like that, because there was one extra. If you will notice if you watch this,
notice them
every fucking scene in the background, this person's there.
Yep.
The entire time. I wonder how much they got paid. Surely more than
I
the
don't even
extras.
think they have a line of dialogue either, but you just in every single background shot they are there. But that's where like the writing of this was so weak. Like in that last scene, could have been
hire him back.
It could have been Jackson. It did not even need to be Jackson. Sorry, it didn't need to be Eric.
Eric, yeah.
Should have just been Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah, Jackson should have been the main one for sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's why I think that this season will be the worst season I think rated, just because that they nothing made sense. Compared to all the problems that they had with the first 3 seasons that everyone could relate to.
Yeah.
Pretty much there wasn't any closure on the issues that they had for this last season, which sucks. Why are we going to not get closure? That's the whole point about finishing series and finishing storylines.
Agreed.
That's the whole point. But listen.
And why would you, like another thing, why would you have, we had that whole big thing in season 2 or maybe 3, where Maeve was going through the whole thing of the trauma with her mum.
Yeah.
Her mum came back, and then Maeve was like, well, I had to parent myself. That whole
Yeah,
thing.
and then the mum gave her money to go to America. I remember that too, went in the bush.
And then you have, spoiler alert here, people.
We've been spoiling the whole thing, to be honest.
We did, yeah. Her mum die, she comes back, and then for no reason, because then she just leaves again anyway. So it's like...
Yeah.
So they literally just used the mum's death as a way to get Maeve back so that they could have some scenes with her and Otis. So like, if you're going to do that, then why even have Maeve in the show at all?
Yeah.
You could have just gone, Maeve's gone, done, and just go full-blown Ruby and Otis.
Yeah.
And then that's their end game.
Or they have, like you were saying to me last night with Friends, Ross and Rachel scene, where she runs off the bus.
I got off the bus.
Get off the bus.
I thought was going to happen in that scene with Joanna, but it didn't happen.
We did pick a lot of this out. Like, that's how I feel like when we can pick out dialogue and storyline shit, that's how weak it is.
And
we're even picking the dialogue itself. We were saying the same words as these people. It's just so bullshit.
Why? You couldn't think... So you send her to America in the final episode of season 3, this huge cliffhanger. We think, oh no, they're never going to be together. Then you bring her back from America with her mum's death. And then just to send her back to America after her and Otis have sex? Why?
And then tell her she ain't shit, and then come back and then say I am shit, and that's it.
And then
she's always been like that. Fuck you, I do what I want to do. Why is she all of a sudden just...
And what, Jean has to build her back up again? She built herself up in these 3 seasons.
She doesn't even know who Jean is until then. What does it matter?
And the whole 3 seasons was her coming out of her shell, realizing that she's more than what she's been raised as and raised in. And then one teacher says something bad to her, breaks her dreams, and then she needs to be... it's so weak. It's so weak. It almost feels like a reboot of the first season, almost, in a way, but just different...
The amount of wasted time they had on this is just fucking ridiculous.
Like we were saying before, it could have just been 4 episodes, and you just tie up all the knots and then finish the stories of the core characters, and you literally leave out this whole Cavendish High School, college, whatever it is. Leave that all out. Like, the only good thing to come out of that whole college was the fact that Amy and Isaac got together because they were in the elevator. But
And Ruby kind of finishes her arc. That's about it.
you could just do that in an elevator in the shops. Have them meet each other at the shops or something and get stuck in the elevator for a whole episode, and the next thing you know, they're in love. Like, it just... It was... The reason we talk about this way is because we had so much high regard for this show.
Yeah.
And these first three seasons are unbelievable. Now, is it because it came out during COVID and that was like a time where people needed something to take their mind off COVID being locked down and stuff, and then this show came along and it was the best show ever?
Yeah.
Yes.
It had a real big cult following.
Probably.
Yeah, instantaneously.
And then they just shit on us with this shit
Yeah.
The way they did Otis, I'll never forgive them. The way they shit on that character Otis.
Yeah.
For no reason at all.
None. He's the main character. It's not like he's even like a background character or a fourth or a fifth
like the
lead.
background character in this bloody season.
He did, actually. He moved from first to fifth, which is ridiculous.
And Maeve felt like she'd never even been in the show before.
Yeah.
They used such a weak thing, like her mum dying, so she has to come back.
Yeah.
Like, where's her little sister? The little sister that we had such a big build up.
There was one ep with their little sister in it for 5 seconds. She gave her a hug, and that was it.
Because she's staying at the sister's adoptive family's house.
Yeah,
we never see the sister again. Like in the earlier seasons, she was so prominent. It just
she kept Maeve centered, and Maeve was the one raising her, so she had actually like some responsibility. And then in this one, it felt like actually in this one with her her writing teacher, he actually could have had a really good, interesting role. But then he became like the normal crime writing guy or the more fantasy guy where you thought he was going to steal some of her shit because as students get better writers and he's old fashioned and he's going to take over. That didn't even happen either. He was just more of an asshole, basically. He's basically another Otis.
Same with her
in this season.
Her roommate who Maeve throws out her writing, and then you see like a sort of a great directing.
Yeah, where she was going to grab the piece of
grabs
paper.
the piece of paper out of the bin. You think, oh, she's going to steal it or whatever. And the next thing you find out is that she actually handed in the paper because she thought it was good.
Yeah.
And gets Maeve, a book contract or a publishing contract.
Yeah, she gets a foot in the door.
And that's it. Then there's nothing more on that. There's nothing more. Like what could have been a perfect way to end this show? Perfect way. This is what could happen, right? Maeve says, "No, I'm not doing the
writing.
I'm not doing the writing. I'm going to stay in Moordale." She's in Moordale. Her and Otis are together. Then she gets the call. Hey, they want to. I handed in Maeve. This is the publisher lady.
I did you a solid.
Your roommate handed in your book. I seen it. I like it. We think you've got a future in this. Then it's like, Maeve's in Moordale. Oh shit! I've got a future in this. Her and Otis go to America.
Yes.
Or she builds up she opens up a publishing place in
Moordale.
In Moordale. Why did they have to separate? They're 17 years old, people.
Yeah. And it's also like not like Otis can't move. He's got nothing going for him.
No.
The whole point was him and O to have this fight about who was going to open up the next clinic in their thing. And their mum, Otis's mum, became a sexologist onto a radio show that O took over. And you thought, oh, maybe Otis was going to go there too. That never happened either. No. Although it's just all these open-ended bullshit storylines that never finished. And I think they end up opening up a clinic, both of them, him and O, into the new school.
Yeah.
They don't need it. They both don't need it. They were helping each other, and then you realise that they both have been quite good with each other when they speak about certain topics on each type of different view. And then Otis basically doesn't want to do it either. He says it at the end when they're saying, "Oh, this guy, Daniel guy, random guy, won it," and then Otis goes, "Oh, he wins it next," and Otis goes, "Nah, you know what? I don't want it either." Okay, well, this guy's just a random character who's going to get some time on screen, and then all of a sudden, no one wants him, or he doesn't want to do it because he's not really about it, and then Otis wins. And then he doesn't want to do it. So what's the whole point about building that shit up anyways? And if you want to build that up, which is fine, but then make him move to fucking America because he's got nothing going for him at the moment.
No.
Nothing. He haven't even sat the exam.
No.
That was the whole point, to sit the exam, see how they're going to do. They didn't do that.
I didn't see Otis in class once.
No.
You see every single character in this whole show in class except for Otis.
Yeah.
You know, the only time you ever see Otis is when he's yelling at someone or brooding or hanging up on Maeve or his mum or Eric.
Instantaneously, by the way. He doesn't say goodbye or nothing. He just hangs them up on them.
Like Jean and Joanne, like that whole relationship, like with Joanne pretty much telling Jean she's a control freak. She needs to...
She's also a scab and a fucking leech.
But, and then Jean's like, oh yeah, I am a control freak and this and that, and I just wanted the best for you and I'm going to change. And then like one of the last scenes we see of Jean is her walking into her work and saying, I want this, and this, and I'm going to have it this way.
Yeah.
Like control freak.
Back to control freaking.
So... What was the whole... episode where her and Joanne are fighting about how you're a control freak. Like,
Yeah. It was like a bullshit argument so she could give her some money.
yeah.
That's really all it was.
And then why is Joanne with Jean's baby daddy
Yeah, Dan.
if Jean's just gonna bring the baby daddy back into her life? Like,
Yeah.
there surely was a better way for her to bring him back into her life, into Jean's life, to have a father for the baby.
Yeah, so what, the father smashed both sisters?
Or bring
That's what it
Jakob
is?
back and just say, have a big thing with Jakob where he's like the coolest dude ever. He's like, listen, I'm just gonna raise this kid.
Yeah, listen, I love you, and the baby, if it's mine or not, it doesn't matter because I just want to be with you. So let's raise this thing, and then Jakob's back in there, and that would be the closure because she needs Jakob.
needs someone.
They did very, very good job together. That couple was a power couple, but then they fucked that too. So this whole TV show, man, was so good up until season 3. I feel a little bit let down, like Game of Thrones in the last season as well. Yes. I feel the exact same way, and I'm just irate about it at the moment. And as an overall score for NCUT Cinematic Productions, when we finally get our little top gear list we're going to make, this is going to go for me at a 58%. I'm going to put it quite low, but a little higher than the middle. Just because I'm pissed off of all these things, but I'm going to give it 58 because of the first 3 seasons.
And I don't have a rating for this thing. Like, they did my boy dirty, Otis.
Yeah.
Like, he deserved better.
What if they did him good?
Maeve deserved better.
What if they did him good? Would you rate it? Would you rate it something?
I'd rate it something if they did it good. Like, they just this last season's dead to me.
Yeah,
that's all I'll say. Like, it's on the same level as Game of Thrones season 8. It's dead to me. It's lost season, whatever the freaking last season of Lost was. It's dead to me because they just ruined it, and I got no closure. So yeah, no rating.
And that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. Oh, do you know what? I would have liked closure only from Maeve and Otis. Fuck all the other cast.
Not even, like...
I want those two. That's all I cared about.
It just made no sense that they built them all the way up and then just shit on it.
Yeah.
We saw them in the same frame for not even one episode. Not even one full... If you added up every single...
20 minutes, maybe.
20 minutes, 30 minutes, if that. And for 90% of those minutes, they're fighting.
Yeah.
Except for one time they have sex and then she leaves.
Anyway, guys, thank you for listening. Sorry, we're a bit irate this episode, but it is what it is, you know. Yeah. We're mad. So, thank you, guys.
Writers do better.
Yeah, literally. Get off your strike and fucking write something better. Anyway, guys, this has been another NCUT. We love you. Catch. Peace. And cut.